Adam, a frustrating afternoon. What did you make of it?
Yeah, we know we are not happy about the result, but we have to keep pushing because it's a really long season, and until the end we need to fight against anyone, you know.
And it was a close game. Where do you think the game was won in the end?
We try. We have a big opportunity in the end. It was a tough game. We know Southampton is always a really tough game, but as I told before, we have to keep doing what we're doing, what we are doing, and that's it. I can't imagine a different way to do just work.
And obviously the head coach is still new to the club. How important is each week of training and each day of training?
Of course, it's a lot. It's massive for us because every day we know something more about him, and what we want. Absolutely.
Adam, a frustrating afternoon. What did you make of it?
It really was a frustrating afternoon at Vicarage Road. We seem to be a little bit out of sync here. Apologies for this. Basically, we will get back to normality soon. But that was Adam Messina reacting to Watford 0, Southampton 1. And it's a frustrating thing that we've not shown the momentum or the passion or the energy that we saw at Goodison Park last Saturday, because we've lost, and we've not just lost, we've lost with a really disappointing performance, especially as the home team off the back of such a fantastic comeback victory. You'd have thought they'd be chomping at the bit to carry that on, and in a team like Southampton, a realistic chance of getting 3 points in the relegation scrap. But we just weren't up for the fight today. Once again, we say this with Watford. We did it against Leeds, we did it against Newcastle, we did it against Wolves, we did it against Brighton. Not up for the fight, and ultimately not scoring enough goals and not defending well enough. And look, we look at Villa, Norwich, Everton. Those are 3 wins that we got, and over the course of the matches on Sunday and Monday, obviously Villa playing against West Ham looking pretty awful, and they are a team that are looking easy to beat at the minute. So was that even an amazing win? It was a great win, obviously opening day, but Villa, they're looking quite shoddy. Then you see Norwich as well play today, who we beat. I'm not being funny, but they are the league's easy team to beat. They look like a team whimpering to championship season, and their defence is awful. Even when they equalise, they straight away go and concede with a goal from Rodrigo. And then you look at the Brighton game, obviously poor performance, but then we want to see better performances away from home. We've seen a lot of those damp squibs, and at Everton it was much better. But then you see Everton at the weekend and you think, okay, they were really poor, but we'll see what happens against Wolves on Monday night. Just, was that an anomaly? Were they just awful? They did collapse. They were 2-1 up with 15 minutes to go and they collapsed defensively all over the place. We have to know that we caused them problems and we were good enough to do that. But how much of it is Watford being good and how much of it is our defence and our opposition on the day, fortunately for us, just basically exploding and not showing any defensive capability? So what Messina said after the game was, we have to keep pushing. He was very obviously disappointed, as the whole squad is. And look, we don't want to make excuses, right? But the referee had an awful game. Peter Banks just gave so many 50-50 calls to Southampton, and that didn't help the stop-starting nature of the game. It was just a match where Southampton started on the front foot in the first minute. A chance for Nathan Redmond. He always seems to do well against us, but he's not been scoring that many goals recently. He's got a few assists in the last couple of games, and he just easily gets down the left-hand side for Southampton. And Jeremy Ngakia, who I thought was pretty good in the game, he was exposed in terms of pace in the first minute of the game, and he shouldn't be getting that cross in. Cathcart doesn't know what he's doing. It's a bit like the Liverpool goal Firmino scored, where he just assumes Foster's not going to have any problems, and he assumes he can get the ball away and clear it, but he gets a touch on it and nearly deceives Foster. And luckily, it's only a small and faint touch that Foster can gather comfortably. But already Watford, just conceding early goals doesn't help the mentality. We're conceding the first goal in games a lot, and that is making the defence just always on edge. And it's just a really frustrating thing. And I don't want to single people out, but what we had to do at times in the game on Saturday, the game that a lot of people went to, I was there as well, you started to get on the back of players because they weren't looking like they were putting in the effort that we saw them against Everton. And that is, if they're trying not to do well and they're not putting in the effort, that is really disappointing because they know how much of a task this is. 17th or above is all we want, and that's a success for us off the back of promotion. So we got to be committed to the cause, and it just looked like on Saturday it was a group of players who just didn't know what solution to find. And Ranieri, he's come in, looked like he knew what he was doing against Everton. Did he know what he's doing with those substitutions? Well, obviously he did bring on Pedro in the Everton game, but took off Pedro at half-time and took off also a little bit of... I'm trying to think now who it was. I think it was it Ngakia? Oh, Ngakia came off for Ashley Fletcher in the last few minutes. Cucho Hernandez was the other one. That was it. Which is interesting. But you bring on Ken Sema and Tom Cleverley. And Sema really didn't do a lot. He was doing what he could. Cleverley had no impact in the second half. And then, he goes for that attacking change to bring on Fletcher. And to be fair, nearly scores. But just didn't look like we were ever going to score in the game yesterday. It just looked like Southampton, really, we were a threat on the break, Watford. We had chances. There was just little pop shots from wide out from Juraj Kutska, and a chance, obviously, in the first half for Sarr that was cleared off the line. But we never really looked like we were really putting McCarthy under any panic, other than that really good save he made to deny Fletcher, and the good clearance off the line from Kyle Walker-Peters after it was I think that might have been a small touch from McCarthy, but he hit the post and he cleared it, and it was not the finest of margins. It was kind of slap bang on the goal line, and he got important clearance, but it would have obviously trickled over if he wasn't there at the right place at the right time. But it was just another disappointing defeat, and we just got to look ahead. I think that's unfortunately a bit of a cowardly way to go out around it, but what we got to say is that we just weren't at the races in this game. And I don't know, it's something about the performance. Certainly in the second half, I thought, first half at least we had a few chances, but once Southampton had that lead, they were very happy to just keep the ball and play down the channels. And really, Southampton, they just started to toy a little bit with Watford. They won a lot of corners. Watford really struggling to find a route back into the game, and it was a frustrating game where they just lose the ball and they wouldn't find a way to utilise the wings, Watford. And Ismaïla Sarr had a very frustrating match, at times just not really looking like he's free for an option, for a pass, and then when he was, he'd go down and expect a free kick, and then it would go out for a goal kick. So it's a frustrating one, but obviously the goal, we'll talk about it. Now, I don't want to say that this is a self-constructed goal, because honestly, this is a fantastic strike from Che Adams, the Scotland international. And look, it was a bit of a Hornet horror show in terms of the performance. Although we had chances, we just didn't quite have the flow in our attack, the linking up of players, the pressing. Where was that going for Watford? It wasn't there once again. And the Adams family will be happy on Halloween night, of course, because Che Adams, he just basically contributed to the Hornet horror show, and it's a fantastic strike. But watching the goal back again, and they made this point on Match of the Day that Southampton, they thoroughly deserved to be the winners of that game, and actually they did say that they thought Watford were unlucky, and I think that was putting it very lightly. Watching the goal back again, look, Cathcart, he's not been in form this season. I think we all need to realise that, but also what we've got to realise is we've got no one else. Now, Nkulu isn't fit enough to start. I know he played 10 minutes against Everton, but he looked decent. However, there's no point in putting on a player who's not going to play for 90 minutes from the start. And at the end of the match, obviously you're going to want to throw a few things at it. So we changed that formation, bring on Fletcher, try and get a 1-1 draw at least, which we've seen a lot of in the past between these two teams. But ultimately, you're going to start Cathcart, who's more fit in terms of fitness. He's more capable. But he just loses sight of Che Adams, and we had a few warnings of this before that goal from Adams on the 20th minute. Southampton getting down the lines, getting through the press, and actually midfield. Moussa Sissoko had another fantastic game, but Judai Kuka, okay, yeah, he had a few shots. As I mentioned, Kutska was decent, but it's too easy right now for opposition players and opposition teams playing us to get through that line from midfield to defence and just get a shot away. There's not enough pressure on the shot to close it down, and just too many times that Watford defence just sat and watched and weren't proactive. You've got to go out to the ball and get to it first. Don't try and take a few occasions and then miss it every time. And Southampton keep on probing, keep on finding a way to get their ball back and get a shot away. And you've got to watch your man. Cathcart loses sight of Che Adams. He just runs in behind him basically, and it's kind of a well-won ball back from Southampton. They play it through. It's a nice little ball in behind, and then Adam Armstrong, who had chances today, really should have scored at least one. He does just kind of, with the outside of his foot, he kind of just slips it very, very casually to Che Adams. And as the ball comes to him after, Sissoko can't quite stop it, there's no one pressuring the ball. And no Watford defender runs or closes down Che Adams. And that is the problem. And you're giving him space. But what I'm going to say is, with that finish, he makes it look easy. He looks like a player who really is flourishing in the absence of Danny Ings. But that is a very hard technique, and he's basically done a Gerard Deulofeu. As we all know, Watford fans, that amazing goal against Wolves in the FA Cup semi-final, that was just fantastic technique. But the lead up to it, Watford should have been more switched on defensively. And about 5 players stand still as Adams gets plenty of space and time to finish in that 18-yard box. So it's just defending that needs to be looked at and needs to be improved. The other thing to say is, look, maybe Troost-Ekong should have cleared it better. I think we just hesitated and we're punished because of it. And he never should have been given the opportunity, really. I think Cathcart, he doesn't, keep track of his man. And the bottom line is, we just don't have that man at the back. Unfortunately, right now, we're missing Sierralta, and we're struggling to have that leadership at the back to just say to the rest of the defence or to get a header in. And every single time it felt like in matches this season we've whipped in a corner, the opposition defender just headers it away, and we just don't seem to have that figure in our defence at the minute. I just think I don't know. I think it's just same old right now, and we still haven't got a clean sheet. And I think Cathcart, he lost his man against Everton. Richarlison scores. That defence needs protecting, and I don't know how we're going to do that, because the amount of fit centre-backs we've got is all we're playing, really. And Cabaselli will be back soon enough. Sierralta the same, but it's just they're not full of confidence right now, that defence. And Foster, obviously, you can't really blame him. Okay, that's a brilliant strike. You can argue, no, he's not actually out of position. I think it's an amazing strike. Not many goalies in the world are going to save that. So that was unfortunate, but I'm just going to go back to a thing that Tom Cleverley said in the programme a few weeks ago. He said, let's push the base level of our performances upwards, and I'm sure the new manager will help us do that with a clear philosophy. Now, I'm sure Ranieri is trying to do that. He's doing his best. And Cleverley says, whatever the result, we want to feel as though we've impacted our game on the opponent today. There's been a couple of good days so far, but too often I feel we've gone through the motions, and you simply cannot do that in this league. Teams are too good, too intense. We need to find a consistency of performance, a level we're happy with as a base for the rest of the season. You will still lose games, no doubt that, but let's not let them, and let's push the base level of our performance. That's what Tom Cleverley said, the newly appointed club captain after Troy Deeney's leaving. And obviously, Cleverley's not been getting in the team, so we've had a match day captain. At what times it's been William Troost-Ekong, and the last couple of games it's been Moussa Sissoko. So the captain says this, but then he doesn't obviously start the game against Southampton, comes off the bench at half-time. So Sissoko, in that role, doing brilliantly. There's no doubt he's been fantastic, and he's still a great leader. And I think that other players need to look at him and take his example and just match that kind of energy, match that kind of commitment. But he doesn't start the game cleverly, and we don't see any of that, unfortunately, from Watford in the Southampton or the Liverpool game. I know that we're going to lose to Liverpool. They've got better players, better formations, better tactics, blah, blah, blah. And that's fair enough. But we want to see some kind of laying a glove on Liverpool, some kind of in your face. We're going to actually do something, try and do something against Liverpool. And that wasn't there. And then we saw Everton, complete contrast, really, really good. And we were so fast on the counter, great pressing. And then it's like back to square one, back to reality, and it's like we've not learnt our lesson that we didn't show against Liverpool. And that's really disappointing. As the home team, you want to dictate a few more games, and we're just letting the away side dictate it. And back to what Messina said about the Southampton defeat. He said he was really disappointed, obviously, as you would be. It's looking ahead as that Arsenal game as an opportunity to set things right. But if we're looking ahead to these kind of tough matches as an opportunity to bounce back against teams that we should be beating, then we're playing a very dangerous game. And we know that our run in November is horrid. It is a horror show. It is scary. It's a nightmare. So we need to be doing better in these more, inverted commas, winnable games. No game is easy in the Premier League. We know this, right? We've been there. We've done that. We've got relegated and we bounced back fantastically at the first time of asking. But to get up to the Premier League, you earn the right to play these tough games. But you still have to, even if you're going to lose these games, have that application of performance. And look, it wasn't amazingly awful, if that makes sense. It wasn't 100% the worst performance of the season. I think as a lot of Watford fans will agree, Leeds was awful. Newcastle, Wolves, probably Newcastle in the first half. Some of these performances have been awful. But this is not far away from that. And that's because there was just times where we were just lacking the conviction to get back in the game. And we have chances, but then when Southampton have the ball, we just don't seem like we want to, or if we can, we're lacking the conviction. But also if we can't, then we're lacking the ability to just get in their faces. And sometimes you say, oh, it's lucky that Southampton won the ball in that 50-50 challenge. No, there's a point where it happens so often that actually are you committed enough? Are you going to get your foot in and put your body on the line, basically, to say, no, I'm going to try and change this. And actually, Adam Messina was fantastic at doing that. I thought he had a good game. I think in a game where we were poor, there was a few players that at least had a decent match. And that was Adam Messina, Jeremy Ngakia, for small periods of the game, looked very decent, I thought. Also, Joshua King, I thought, had a good game. Now, you can argue he was isolated, of course, because we don't seem to know what to do in that front three when Emmanuel Dennis is out, and also without Sarr really making an impact, which is, a shame in this system. Is it his system that's not working? Is it the attitude of Sarr? We don't know, but it's not going right at the minute. And then you say, actually, yeah, Joshua King, he was holding the ball up well, and he was playing really well. He was just having those little bursts of pace, and trying to let other players into the game. And, with King, he's working hard. You can see it in his eyes. He wants it, and he's trying, but he can't do it all on his own. Another really good performance, Moussa Sissoko, as we've mentioned. But that's about it, really. And that is worrying. You need, at least, I'd say at least 7 or 8 of those 11 players on a solid, 7 out of 10 every week. At least trying to do something. But there was just a lot of sloppy performances. And as I said, Juraj Kucka was decent, had shots at least, was trying to do something, but some of the defending today just really, really poor, and we were lucky that Southampton didn't have the clinical edge to their game. Che Adams, how he's missed that chance with a header, I do not know, because it's a perfect cross from Adam Armstrong, and he just headers it into the ground and it bounces over the bar. And Armstrong had a close range header as well, whipped in and really should be getting that on target, but he just can't get over the top of it. And then, of course, second half, you think, okay, Watford, try and get back into the game. Try and do what happened in the Newcastle game where, all right, forget the first half, play much better in the second. But we just took too long to do that. We take too long to really get in the face of the opposition and create really good quality chances. And then we were basically running out of time at the end. We threw on Fletcher. He had a chance. It was a really good ball in, to be fair, from Josh King. A good touch, but he just can't welly it. He can't smash it. And it's a good save from Alex McCarthy, but we really should be doing better. So it's a really frustrating one, I'll be honest. So Watford 0, Southampton 1. This is the review, and this is just getting to the point now where we're getting these matches and we're just letting chances pass us by. And Ben Foster, look, I don't think he was our worst player today or in this game, but he still is conceding goals. And Bachmann is waiting in the wings. He's saying he doesn't want to, have any more of this. If not, he'll leave, and he wants to fight back his place in the squad. And look, both goalkeepers are making mistakes. Foster is a safe pair of hands, and we know that. That's why he's come in, and he's been decent recently. But he's made a few positioning errors. That wasn't one of them, I don't think, today. I think it was just a great strike from the Scotland international. But Bachmann has done very little wrong. I know he made the mistake for Spurs, but both goalies make mistakes. Bachmann is very young, head of his game, and he needs confidence, and we should play him soon. I'm saying that now. But look, the Cycling GK does his best, and it just wasn't amazing today. William Troost-Ekong, he was alright, but it just felt like he was making a few errors again today. We know we've touched on Cathcart just really looking quite hesitant, and João Pedro I thought had a pretty bang average game. He was doing stuff, but in his first league start you'd expect more, to be honest, of the season. But it's a difficult one. I think it was the right formation, the right team, certainly. A nice attacking lineup with Pedro just playing in behind King in a bit more of a 4-2-3-1 to replace Tufan. But is Tufan deserving more minutes? Possibly. He did look quite good against Everton. Probably his best performance in a Watford shirt. However, we want to see Pedro start more games, but then he gets subbed off and we change formation. And I think that was the right call from Ranieri. But do we need another man in midfield? Possibly, because we were looking a bit overloaded in that area by Southampton. Ward-Prowse was winning all those midfield battles. But I just feel like Pedro, he certainly will get there eventually, but he needs more minutes to do that. Messina, as I mentioned, had a good game, I thought. Made some good slide tackling recoveries, but there's still that worry of, is he going to be our best left back? Danny Rose is still waiting in the wings. Obviously had an injury recently, so that's why Messina's been in. But I think Messina's taken his chance recently, so that's something to say. Sissoko, fantastic. Sarr, just very quiet in the game, unfortunately. Other than the chance he had cleared off the line, he just struggled to get down the sides, and really, you'd have thought that he would have caused Tino Livramento more problems, but Livramento had a decent game. Cucho Hernandez, very, very quiet, unfortunately. At times doing the right things, but just not doing enough to really get noticed, and that's unfortunately why he got subbed off. And then and Juraj Kucka, as we mentioned, had a pretty solid game, but it's just a lot of sighters from him, really. So Ken Sema not really doing enough, and Dan Gosling as well. He'll be thinking, when is he going to get a time into this team? So ultimately, not a great game. I'm a bit disappointed by that. As I mentioned with that programme quote, we need to push our performances better because it's another defeat. And look, some of the defending, I don't want to say it, but it felt like it was comedy, really. It was clowning around. Like, we need to be in the game, focused and really committed, because at times there were moments where we're just causing our own problems. Like Southampton, they seem to want to press. I don't know why we don't press every week, but we're playing around the back and we're causing our own issues. So we really can't be doing that. And it made me sad. I'll be honest, because I was going into this game feeling, yeah, okay, get a bit of momentum. Hopefully, let's not get too carried away. Stay grounded by the Everton game, but at least let's see a much better performance. But it really felt like, Southampton, they should have been out of sight by half time, and we had chances, but maybe taking Cucho off was a mistake. I don't know. I feel like today, in this game, Watford just not quite at the races, and that is another frustrating comment that we've kind of repeated over the season. So not enough intensity, and a few cobwebs back there for the Hornets to sort out. A few things they need to go over and refocus ahead of the Arsenal game. It's on Sky Sports Super Sunday. and then we have another international break. So it feels right now like it's a bit of a deja vu season. You know, good win. Oh no, a couple of really poor performances, international break. Not a good win, but a win nonetheless. A couple of good international breaks. Like it's starting to be in out, like really inconsistent. So what we do know is that we can do better than this. And Ranieri, he's still going to be backed. For my opinion, I think he's still got a lot to give, and he knows that he's got to sort this team out. But there is a project, there's a vision there. It's just we need to implement it much, much better and much quicker, especially with Arsenal, Manchester United, and I think we've got after that Chelsea in our next 3. So, look, it's going to be tough. There's no doubting it, but we really did just feel like we were lacking the intensity today, and we just got to keep pushing. It's a long season, we know. It was a tough game. We've got to keep doing what we're doing in training and keep working, but feels like, you know, every day, of course, we learn something new with you know, Ranieri at the helm. The players obviously feed off that, but we need a clean sheet. We need a much better run of good home performances, and I'm thinking like the crowd is fair enough, because what we saw on Saturday was just not the Watford we're used to, not the Watford that we should be seeing, and we need more spirit, we need more fight, but we had chances, and ultimately we need to be more clinical. We had 8 shots on target against Everton, and nowhere near that level of you know, testing McCarthy on Saturday. So it is what it is, but it has finished, and I'm going to give man of the match to Moussa Sissoko. I thought he was very, very consistent throughout, just controlling that midfield, just looked like he always wanted to drive forward, and that's what we need to see from the rest of the team. But I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.